Videocast number 99, Timing an Eagle Project. Time management is one of the hardest things to accomplish, not only for young scouts, but also for adults. This week, Scoutmaster Dave discusses the Eagle Project timeline and how not to get shorthanded as scouts run up to their 18th birthday. Now, before I begin, I will say that this timeline is based on my troop and council, and yours may vary, sometimes significantly, so make sure to do your homework for any of the categories discussed. The Eagle timeline takes between 10 and 19 months, from the time you define your project to the time you sit for your Eagle board, starting at the beginning with the project definition. This can actually take as long as 3 months to find a project and make sure you have a sponsor who will take this journey with you. Once you have a project, though, you need to communicate this to whomever in your troop you are working with on the project. Normally, this is your Eagle coach, but sometimes it's your Scoutmaster or another committee member. In our troop, as the Eagle mentor, I ask the scouts to email me a 2-sentence paragraph explaining the project. This lets them put into words what they're trying to achieve with the project. This also becomes the basis for the description on the Eagle workbook. The proposal process, which is the first of the 3 sections of the Eagle workbook, usually takes about a month to write up. This includes some back and forth with the Eagle coach. From here, there are a bunch of approval steps, discussing with the Scoutmaster, the troop committee, getting things signed off from your project reps, and submitting the project to your local council for review and comments. This all takes time and is variable depending on your troop, committee, and your district. I've seen scouts get approval from council in a week, and some that drag on for months, and sometimes it's just the luck of the draw and the time of the month or the time of the year. There is usually some back and forth to craft the scope of the project to the council's liking. It's important to note that until a project is approved, the scout cannot do any fundraising. When the project is approved, the usual step is the fundraising step. To start this, there's a fundraising form that needs to be submitted and approved by council. Depending on how much money you're looking to raise and how you're raising it, fundraising can take from days to a month or more. But budgeting a month is pretty standard. As with all these timelines, it's best to estimate high. That way, if you complete any of the steps quicker, all the better. It also allows you to have some slack in your timeline as things move on. As Helmut von Moltke the Elder, he was the chief staff of the Prussian army before World War I, stated, "No battle plan survives the first contact with the enemy, so plan accordingly and prepare to pivot as need be." By the time it gets to actually action on the project, it can be as quick as a 3-day weekend to a month-long event. This will ultimately depend on your project. If you're doing things like putting up walls with drywall and spackle and tape and paint, you need to wait from one drying and curing before you start the next step. It's not like the do-it-yourself shows where it's completed in half an hour. One note on the project itself. Inside of the Eagle packet, there are 3 sections. One is the proposal, the second is the plan, and the third is writing up the result. Many scouts will complete the proposal, but then not touch the booklet until the write-up stage, most often because nobody actually signs off on the middle part. While you need to hand in all 3 sections, the middle part is for the scout to help him plan out the project. When it's all complete, as I mentioned, there is a write-up. Most often this takes about a month, as it's a retrospective of the project. Doing it as soon as the project ends as possible is important, as many of the details will fade as the project is done. I've seen one scout wait a year to complete the workbook and had to piece together things from spotty memories. Don't be that guy. The final step is the signatures from the Scoutmaster, troop, and the sponsor. From here, you submit your project. It's also at this point that the timer stops. So if a scout was racing to beat the age 18 deadline, this is the end point. By the time the Eagle board is convened, it can take anywhere from 1 to 3 months. This depends on how Eagle boards are handled in your area. Time of year can also be a factor, as a lot of projects are done in May and June, so October boards can be pretty packed. All in all, it's a 10 to 19 month process before it's complete. If I could offer one piece of advice for scouts, it would be to start right now. It's very easy for the time to get away from you. Take what you like, leave the rest, and as we say in Woodbedge, feedback is a gift. Leave yours below in the comments with all the hope we can learn together. I'm Scoutmaster Dave, and this was Timing of an Eagle Project.